Hey everybody, it's Monika and welcome to my channel where I help social workers, therapists, and helping professionals deepen their level of self-awareness while increasing their competence and confidence in the profession. For today's video, we're going to be talking about 4 things to keep in mind when you're ready to negotiate your salary. If you're interested in this topic, then please keep watching. I'm Monika Thomas, the founder and clinical social worker at Kindred Connections Therapy Center. I've been a social worker for over 12 years. I decided to do an entire YouTube channel on my journey from cubicle working social worker to successful entrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. So if you watch this video right here, you know that I gave you some really strong tips on how to prepare for your social work interview. And I'm so grateful and thankful for all the feedback that I received from all of you telling me that you nailed the interview, that you watched the video before you went in and you felt more confident and you felt more prepared. I love hearing comments like that, and I'm so thankful to know that my videos are helping you in your interviews. So please share this video or those videos with another social worker if you know that they're preparing for an upcoming video. So hopefully if it was helpful for you, then it'll be helpful to them as well. But today we're going to be talking about after you've nailed the interview and they call you back, they've given you the offer, and now it's time to negotiate. Now, I don't think a lot of us as social workers think about or consider the fact that we actually can negotiate, especially for those of us who traditionally work in nonprofit. I always like to give the caveat for nonprofit because I feel like they operate a little bit different than traditional roles, different type of corporate roles, maybe in finance, accounting. We don't really have that much of an option to negotiate if we're working on a grant. So I just want to throw that out there because I think that's important for us to consider. Sometimes we think that companies are just being stingy and they have the money to pay, but if your line item or if a nonprofit is line itemed a certain amount of money for a role or position, they have to stay within the parameters of that grant. So that's one of the things that you always want to ask is whether or not it's a grant funded position before you negotiate, because that should give you an idea if they have some wiggle room on the salary. So if the salary has already been earmarked, they've already written in the salary for the role in the grant, you might not have that much room to play with in terms of your negotiation. So let's say we're operating outside of a grant and you know that there's a little bit of room for the salary. This is where I want you to go in very confidently, speaking up your skill sets, speaking of the value that you can bring to the role as well as to the company. So let's break down the 4 things that I absolutely want you to cover in your next negotiation. First thing, before you negotiate, I want you to do some research. Not only do I want you to research the company, I want you to research similar roles. And then when you're researching the roles, try to see if you can find something on Glassdoor that speaks to the salary or how much those salaries typically pay. Know that it can vary by state, but just try to find an approximate amount or an average. So do your research on the role, the responsibilities of the role, and then the company. When you're doing your research on the company, if it is a grant funded role or if they've done any PR about the role, I want you to go on Google, see if you can find anything about a new initiative that they have, new money that they received, a new grant award that they received. See what you can find out about this role, if it's newly created, if someone just left the role and they're reposting for it now. So I want you to do your due diligence and do some research about the role before you negotiate. I also want you to go to the company's website, if it's a nonprofit, and see if you can find their annual report. This is going to give you some financials and some data about the company so you can go in informed about how much money do they pay for programs and then how much do they pay for administrative costs. So you want to stay within a certain window of your ask because they're not going to give you above what they typically pay for the role. So you want to make sure that you're within the window that they're willing to pay. And also, if they give you a range initially, I want you to start at the top of the range, probably 2,000 or 3,000 over the range that they give you. And I want you to do that confidently, knowing that you have the knowledge and the expertise to ask for the exact amount that you want. So we're going to get to that part a little bit later, but first thing, I want you to do your research. Another way to identify trends that are happening with salaries or within our industry is to be involved in Facebook groups or in communities online so that you can see what people from other states are being paid, what they're asking for, how much above or below the ask that they're actually getting. So being in community can be another great way to follow the trends of the industry. Number 3 is to consider the full benefit package that you're being offered. Oftentimes when a company is offering you a set amount, it's not just the salary that they're including, they're also including the benefits and the monetary value of that, the 401k and the monetary value of that, and any other perks that they're giving you. They can also be giving you a sign-on bonus. I've been seeing that happen a lot within our profession. Unfortunately, the sign-on bonuses don't operate now how they used to a long time ago. You have to work for the company for a longer amount of time before you get the sign-on bonus. So when I first started in the profession, you didn't have to work at companies that long to get the sign-on bonus. You got the first half of the sign-on bonus probably within the month that you were hired. Now you have to wait 3 months for the first part of the sign-on bonus, and then say 6 months for the second half of the sign-on bonus. So that's absolutely something that you can negotiate, the terms of that. You can also negotiate certain days off or changes in your schedule. So know that those options are available for you as well. And number 4, this one might be a little hard, especially if you've been without work for a really long time or you're desperate to leave your current role, but it's don't say yes immediately. Give yourself time. Don't wait too long to give the employer an answer, but really give it some time to think over the full range of benefits that you're going to receive. Because oftentimes when you receive a new role, you're really weighing the benefits of what you have versus what you're going to get. And monetary benefit is not always the best thing to choose. Just because you're going to be making more money at your new role, you have no idea what that company culture is like. You have no idea what your supervisor is like, whether they micromanage you, whether or not they have specific rigid time frames and schedules. So just because you get more money doesn't mean that you're going to a better company. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. And that's why those interview questions are so key, because you want to have an idea of the culture that you're going to versus the one that you're leaving. So give yourself some time, talk it over with other professionals, see if you can find other people who've worked for the company, see if you can get, again, in Facebook groups, or read as many reviews as you can about the company. Don't jump into saying yes too soon. Even if the offer seems great up front, there could be a lot of things that you're missing if you make your decision too quickly. Now, if this is an internal negotiation and you're up for a review and you're wanting to ask for an increase in your salary, I would say a lot of the same things apply, but what you want to do is you want to have been keeping a really good track record of all the wins and all the successes that you've gotten within the role. Whether that can mean you brought out a lot of people for a certain event, or you got a lot of new registrations, or you saved the company some money, or you increased their income in some type of way. Maybe you've assisted with some fundraising efforts. You've helped put the company's name or profile in front of a big donor, or maybe someone influential within the community. Maybe you've advocated for a policy on behalf of the company and that policy was recently passed, or you've done some other type of advocacy work or something that has increased the retention or enrollments or overall client satisfaction. So you want to be keeping record and track of your wins some type of way, whether you're keeping a notebook, whether you're keeping it on an Excel sheet. You want to have some way to track the impact that you've had with the company. And then when it's time for you to negotiate a higher salary, that's the document that you want to bring with you when you're giving your reason as to why you deserve this salary increase. Now, let me say this. One of the things that I'm noticing with a lot of Gen Zers, and I love you all to death, but one of the things that I'm noticing is you all are coming out of the gate, just graduated with your master's degree, not a lot of experience, and you're wanting to start at the top of the salary that's being offered. Now, why I don't think that's a bad idea, the only thing that I would say to that is if you're going to come out the gate asking the top of the salary, which I suggested that you do at the beginning of the video, make sure that your knowledge, your background, your experience, that it aligns and it matches with what you're asking for. If you're newly graduated, you've worked one job, you don't have a lot of experience, this is your first time in the role, and you're asking for the top of the pay, That's a hard ask. You really have to show and prove why a company would pay you that amount of money when there's such a huge learning curve that you're going to have to overcome as a new hire or a new employee. Now, if you had experience and you could hit the ground running and you knew the ins and outs of the role and you've done something similar in a previous role and you have a level of expertise that you can bring to this new role to help with process or efficiency or to train staff better, that is something that a company is looking for. If you can find a way or communicate a way that you make things for them easier, faster, quicker, cheaper, think about all those value-based things that companies look for. If you can communicate that, then I would say that you have a reasonable ask at the top of the pay scale. Now, if you say, well, I deserve it and I'm going to ask my worth, your personal worth and the worth that you bring to a company are two different things. And I don't want you to get those two things confused. You're absolutely worth and value as a person. Intrinsically, inherently, you have worth and value, but that in no way equates to the worth that you bring to a role. So I don't want you to convolute those two ideas. Those two things are not the same. So I want you to realize the value that you do have, but also be able to articulate how that can help a company's bottom line, because that's really what they want to know when you're negotiating. Why do you believe that we should pay you this amount of money? And do you have the knowledge and expertise that we need that justifies the money that we're paying you? Now, companies don't want to shell out more money than they have to. We all know that to be the case. But the more that you can communicate to them, the way that your knowledge and expertise enhances the role, enhances their bottom line, increases their efficiency, helps with client retention, that's the thing that's going to position you well above all of your other coworkers and get you that raise that you're asking for. I hope that you found this information helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, or share. I'll be creating more videos to help you deepen your level of self-awareness and to increase your competence and confidence in the profession. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, be well.